Good morning. Today, I'm just taking a minute or two to run over a few things on the family and also on the battle that we need to face on behalf of our family. So I just grabbed some quotes on the home, and the purpose of these quotes is to help us realize the universal respect and almost reverence for the home while people do countless things to degrade the home. Let me give you some, and again, out of all these quotes, maybe a third of them, I know who the person is. They were just, I just look for quotes on the family. And so and these could be total heathen. For all I know, these are drug pushers and gangsters or president of the United States. Here's one I've learned through the years that it's not where you live, it's the people who surround you that make you feel at home. That's a J.B. McGee. No idea who that is. Another one, the love of family and the admiration of friends is much more important than wealth and privilege. Charles, somebody, I can't even pronounce the last name. Michael J. Fox, I don't think that's a real source of guidance and direction for our family or values, but he said family's not an important thing, it's everything. Princess Diana, family is the most important thing in the world. George Bernard Shaw, a happy family is but an earlier heaven. Walt Disney, a man should never neglect his family for business. Andre, somebody or other, without a family, man, alone in the world, trembles with the cold. Alex Haley, in every conceivable manner, the family is the link to our past and the bridge to our future. Pope John the 23rd, it's in Roman numerals, Pope John the 23rd, the family is the first essential cell of human society. This is David Ogden Steers or something like that. Again, no idea who these people are. Family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. George Moore. Another one, I don't know who it is. A man travels the world in search of what he needs and returns home to find it. Marjorie Pay Hinckley, where home is where you are loved the most and act the worst. And that's not profound. That's pretty accepted. Robin Hobb, that's not Robin Hood. But again, I don't know who these people are. Home is people, not a place. If you go back there after the people are gone, then all you can see is what is not there anymore. I know this one, John Wooden, coach of UCLA forever, UCLA basketball. The most important thing in the world is family and love. Now, you may take a little disagreement with a part or some of any of those quotes, and certainly there are probably people there I wouldn't read a book they wrote or listen to an interview they had. I'm sure some of those people are complete idiots. I don't know that, but pulling that many quotes off the internet, they usually raise up people that are popular, and popular people rarely have a biblical perspective on life. But here's the thing: when it comes to the home, you can pick just about any area of life, from an Al Capone to a pastor, and they'll tell you home matters and family matters, and other cultures. Go to our universities. I read a survey of a whole bunch of college students, university students, just recently done, and they said, if you were to marry, would you expect your spouse to ever violate their marriage vows and be unfaithful to you? And huge percent, like 70% of the people they interviewed said yes, they would assume their spouse would be unfaithful. And I just can't even fathom that. But it's the environment they're around, it's the people they're around, it's the teaching they're receiving. And but all those people, I'm sure, would tell us that family is important. And anybody who takes time to watch any of these morning moments, whether you've lost your family or still have a family together or not, or whether they're gone to heaven, or whether the family's broken up, as often happens in this old corrupt world, I think we'd all agree that family matters. You go back to the Garden of Eden, and it's very simple. You know the story. Will come up later in First Peter, but You go to the Garden of Eden, God put a man and a woman together. And that was the first thing God did after he made the garden for these people to live in, is he put a family together. He put a man and a woman and said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. Here's mom and dad and kids. That's what family is. God, mom, dad, and children. That's a family. And the children are non-essential. They're normal. And they are essential if you're going to have any humanity in another 100 years. But a couple without children can still have a home and a family and a relationship with God, of course. But that's not the general rule. So God starts out the Bible with a family. And you follow that through the scriptures, and what you find is God fine-tuning the course of scripture and the course of families, not through some. It's interesting, in the beginning, you got Seth and Cain and different people's family lineage early on in the Bible, and some will say this is the godly line. Well, those are the most. There are those people who are as ungodly as anybody else, but we will say it's the messianic line. It's the God follows in the Bible things relating to his son. And the course of the scriptures works its way down until it comes to Jesus. And then it ends with Jesus coming back. And so when we consider the home is so vital. And I don't need to belabor the point. We understand how critical a good home is. Now, think with me. If a home and a family is that important, why would we allow people that we don't even know to teach our children? Why would we send our children to schools that have, in the last 20 years, proven themselves not only an academic failure, a moral failure? And in the last 10 years, they've proven themselves an enemy of the home. I mean, literally, there are textbooks where they're pulling out the name mother and father, and they're trying to make a genderless home. And why would we, if we all, from all walks of life, value the home and the family, why would we let people instruct our children who they don't have any family values that match our family values? I'm not saying they don't have family values. They might have all kinds of personal preferences or whatever. But the issue is it line up with you? And we should not put our children under the tutelage of people who are going to teach something contrary to what we believe to be true and right and important. And yet our school choice as parents so often in America is opposed to what we believe very strongly. And then how about entertainment? So we have videos and movies and TV and news, and I mean, just flip on Fox News. And I'm not saying it's wrong if you do, but I quit watching what the world would call conservative news. I found them corrupt. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying the news that they portray is getting increasingly slanted and corrupt. I had an app on my phone for a while, conservative. I think it was Fox News app, but it was one of those, and I'm pretty sure that was it. And it just consistently the stories and things they offer were indiscreet, inappropriate, crude. I don't need any crude. The world's crude enough. I don't need to be reading. I just delete the app and forget it. If I get any news, I get it from a few very carefully selected conservative people. And you might say, well, they're slanted the other way, and I want it that way. I'm just fine with that. I don't have a problem with that. If the world can be slanted one way, I can be slanted the other. But I'm careful. Now, if the family matters to us, for instance, marriage. If marriage matters, then why do we allow things into our life, into our home, into our minds that attack marriage? I won't watch a show, a movie, a TV, a sitcom, or whatever. I just really don't watch them. I could just put a period there. But I'm not going to watch something or listen to something where they sit and mock marriage, or where they mock husbands, or where they mock wives. I'm not going to watch a commercial where the man is this idiot trying to fix the kitchen sink, and the wife's got her phone and says, I've got it fixed, and the know-it-all wife And there's the dumb husband who's trying. No, I'm not watching that commercial. I won't. I'm not going to watch something that humiliates the man, and nor will I watch something that humiliates the wife. If there's some comedian, I have on a couple occasions watched what I would say a family-friendly comedian site. I don't want to advertise things. Maybe I don't watch anything enough to know if it's good or bad. And so if I ever mention something, you think, man, that's not all that good. I don't know that, but here's something that's fairly conservative. And if somebody comes up and they're on a string of mock the wife jokes, I'm shutting it off. You're not going to mock the things I hold dear and sacred. I'm not going to listen to somebody who mocks America. I'm not going to listen to somebody, even our president. And we've had some presidents that most of us, there have been some presidents that you and I don't like, and they may be different from each other, but we can all agree. But I love our country, and I'm not going to sit and let stuff come to me mocking something I cherish and I hold dear. I'm just not going to do it. And so as we consider things that we love, the family, children, there are people who in the media world, they'll mock big families. They'll mock even having children. Lady ought to get her career and make lots of money and make something of herself and not be a mother. No, marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. Whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. There's a good verse on home. That's a pretty clear-cut verse out of the book of Hebrews. God said, be fruitful and multiply. He said, as arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are the children of the youth, children plural, of the youth. Young people ought to get married and have kids and train them to serve God. We ought to train our children to be arrows in the hand of God, to speak with the enemy in the gate, Psalm 127 talks about. And so I'm not going to listen to something that mocks the idea of raising kids or something that makes kids out to be a big headache. No, kids are an incredible blessing. Now, if you raise them as animals, they're a headache. If you don't teach and train them, if you neglect them, kids can become a horrible heartbreak. But children are a joy. Marriage is a pleasure. And the things that we value. I value our home. I value our marriage. I value our children. I value my country, my Constitution. I value my Bible. Anybody wants to mock the King James Bible, I'm shutting them off. If they want to have an intellectual discussion and they have some questions, and I'm not the smartest person, so maybe I can't answer, but if I think I can, I might answer a couple of questions. But if I answer their question, they just go to the next question. I answer their question, they go to the next question. They're not looking for answers. They're just wanting to attack what I believe. They can believe what they want. I can believe what I want. And we can enjoy not talking about it or not even hanging around each other. We might be able to play a tennis game together. That was 10 years ago before my knees got to be non-tennis knees. But there are things that I'm just not going to... Things you cherish, don't let people make fun of them. And the left knows that. The liberals know that. And you just come out pro-life anywhere, and you are going to be attacked by the baby murderers. Okay, I don't call it pro-choice. That might be a term people use, but they're baby killers. But they're strong to stand up for what they believe, and I don't think I have to tolerate somebody mocking something that I cherish. The idea of giving financially to the church, to missions, putting our kids in a Christian school, going to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, those things are precious to me. Things I hold dear. I'm a Baptist. I hold that very dear, and I've taught much on it. There's some very scriptural and historical reasons that I am a Baptist, and I cherish those things. My values, my values as a human being, values from being honest, values from integrity to keep your word. Those things matter, and I'm not saying I bat 1,000, but I'll tell you they're precious to me. And when someone, that's one of the things that irritates me about the legal world. And I have rubbed shoulders with way too many people in the legal world where winning is more important than right. And if something can be manipulated or twisted in order to win or get what they think should be done, that repulses me. Right is right. And I don't care if, we all know there's bad laws. We all know there's ways you can interpret or misinterpret things. That bothers me. I am for loyalty. I'm for authority. I know a lot of people have betrayed our loyalties. A lot of people have defiled their office of authority. I remember being in court as in jury duty. And now I got up where I was in the box, and the attorneys were asking us questions. And I can't remember exactly what the attorney asked me, but something along the lines of, there was the testimony of a policeman and the testimony of the person who, the plaintiff, I don't know I don't know what the right term is, the person who's being charged. And they said, can you take both of their words on equal weight and not weight one more than the other? I said, no. And they said, why not? I said, because the man or lady wearing that uniform, they have been vetted, they have been approved, they have passed countless exams, they have been interviewed, they've jumped through so many hoops to get where they are. And this person, I don't even know their name. So no, I don't hold them. I'm not saying this person's wrong and this person's right, but I don't hold their word the same. I just don't. And I said, we're in the courtroom, so there's a bailiff, I think they call him. He had a gun. None of the rest of us had any guns. And I said, that guy over there, he's holding that gun. You know why he's got a gun? Because he has been proven trustworthy. He is at a different level than this person. And the attorney says, you can go, Mr. Goddard. I said, all right, good, I'm gone. But I know there's some people in authority who've betrayed us as citizens and many areas of life, job or whatever. But I hold dear leadership, and I hold authorities dear. The very idea, God lifts up authority in the Bible, and there's so much in here. So all that, I'm going somewhere. All that to say this. If you want to look with me in 1 Peter chapter 5, a very, very obvious scripture that most of you could probably quote. But in 1 Peter chapter 5, he says in verse 8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And most of us know that verse. But the next one, whom, speaking of the devil, resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. And so he says, be sober, be on top of this thing, be sharp, pay attention. There's an adversary walking about, seeking whom he may devour, like a roaring lion. And you resist him. Resist his assaults. But you're going to have to be sober and vigilant to see where he's coming from and what his attack is. And you're going to have to pay attention to this stuff. And so, child of God, if you're not saved this morning, this doesn't relate to you, but you that are the child of God today, you know you're saved, you're born again, you're in the family of God. We need to be sober. We need to be vigilant. And we need to be aware of this adversary walking about, seeking whom he may devour. And we need to resist him steadfast in the faith. And so that's why I say these influences that come on us, a lot of them, they're in the ears, in the eyes. We need to resist them. In this culture we're in, summertime especially, but all year round, you as men especially, I don't know what lady, I'm not a lady, couldn't tell you what a lady looks at or likes or whatever, but as a man, you need to avert your eyes. It is a dirty world where people display themselves if they're for sale, and we need to look away. Why? Because I hold my purity precious. My name, the Bible says a good name's rather be chosen than great riches. And when someone attacks my name, and it's happened, and it probably will happen some more, but it bothers me. I have to just I go to Isaiah 53. He was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and we esteemed him not. And he was reproached, and on the things about Christ. I think if he was made fun of, and if he was mocked, and if he was ridiculed, and that can happen to any of us as Christians, of course. But my personal purity matters. So I'm going to shut off this. I'm going to look away from that. I'm not going to listen to indiscreet, inappropriate comments. I'm not going there. And I'm going to be sober, be vigilant, resist Many, many years ago, I got a note from someone that it was insinuating nothing wrong in the note, but it was insinuating. It was kind of a suggestion that a gal was kind of commenting some comments of I don't know what you'd say, attraction, let's say, but it's very subtle. And oh man, I looked at that and I thought, you're going nowhere with this. And I commented in a sermon, not subtle, didn't name anybody. I said, if you guys or gals are at work and someone is forward, someone is suggestive, someone insinuates, someone starts to kind of make some advances verbally or physically, you ought to roll over them like a steamroller. You ought to spit on them on the way by. Boy, I made a big old stink. I didn't point it at anybody. I just said when someone is inappropriate, when someone is a little forward, you need to stop it. Resist, steadfast in the faith. That's what it says here in 1 Peter. Well, by the time that sermon was over, that person had scribbled a hate note to me, and I walked out the door. And when I walked out, when they walked out the door, they handed it to me and walked off, stormed off, and I looked at the first 2 or 3 words and said, "Yeah, that sermon worked," and tossed it in the trash. Didn't even read the rest of it. But we need to resist some things. Steadfast in the faith. We need to decide that if it's sacred, we need to be very guarded about it. Our Supreme Court, that ought to be sacred in our country. Our Constitution, the mockery that the FBI and the Department of Justice has made of itself in recent years, those things are precious to any traditional American. Oh, it ought to bother us. And I don't know the answer, except get America back to their Bible and get America back to God, at least get a bunch of us back to God in the Bible, get Christians back in church, people who call themselves Christians who never darken the door of a church but Easter and Christmas. What kind of Christianity is that? That's what got us our administration. That's what got us the health crisis we're in, where we can't even trust our own medical world. But there are some things, and this is just between you and God. None of my business how you apply it. But I want to urge you, don't you give up the ship of things that matter to you. And those things that you love and those things that you hold dear, you hang on to them and realize the devil's coming around trying to devour the child of God. And these things that are sacred to you, you need to resist him and steadfast in the faith. You need to be sober. You need to be vigilant. Pay attention. Pay attention. And don't get caught off guard. I mean, I don't care if you're playing tic-tac-toe or checkers or chess or baseball or basketball or football. The key strategy most of the time is, can I get you off balance? Can I get you where you're not paying attention? Can I get you distracted? And that's what the devil does. And oh man, I want to encourage you today. Those things that you hold dear, you protect them and you cherish those things and love those things and be on guard against attacks against you, your marriage, your integrity, your relationship to your children, the very idea of raising children. Man, I've got this 4 kids and 10 grandkids, and we can get together for a family holiday and shock. We like each other. We can stay at each other's homes. We can go out together. We can vacation together, and we love one another, and we enjoy being together. That's sacred. Don't attack the family. If you try attacking the family to me, I am shutting it off. I'm shutting the TV show off. I'm shutting the news off. I'm shutting the sitcom off or the comedian. Don't do it. You know what? The best family is the one that's gone or whatever. And no. I'm not going there. Hold dear your church, your Bible, your faith, your family, your country, whatever it might be. Let's keep it precious and know that you and we've got an enemy. And we ought to resist him, and we ought to be sober and vigilant, because what you have that's precious and godly is worth hanging on to and protecting.